Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to our installment of Scott Selections here for Wednesday, April 13th. Before we get into today's play of the day, quick recap of what happened yesterday. We picked up a loss in the NBA with the Clippers plus 3.5 at minus 110 on Bet Online. Usually, when I lose a play, I try to go back and reassess where it went wrong with the handicap. And the truth is, I went back through it. I thought the handicap was still right because the Clippers dominated the majority of the game. And yet, the game was really decided by two runs, the end of the first half and the end of the entire game, where Minnesota went on a massive run without Karl-Anthony Towns, who was awful the entire game, got into foul trouble. He fouled out with about 8 minutes to go. But the Clippers found themselves up 7 with 7:15 to go in the fourth quarter, which means as long as you don't get outscored by 11, you win the bet. And unfortunately, they got outscored by 12. They completely fell apart. D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards were great down the stretch. So was Beverly defensively. And Reggie Jackson missing that layup and then getting pickpocketed the next possession really kind of killed any hope we had. But either way, picked up a loss because of a massive choke job and look for a bounce back winner here on Wednesday. And for the play here, we are going to go back to the NBA, looking at the Western Conference playing game again between the Spurs and the Pelicans, taking place at around 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And for the play there, we're going to go with a total in this one. We like the under, 226.5 at minus 118 on FanDuel. Time recording at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Cover reasons why I like the under in this spot. First of all, got to look at what we've seen so far from the two play-in games yesterday, and both games went under. And the truth is, it really wasn't that close because you ended up having the Nets game go under by about 4 or 5 points, but you had 65 points in the fourth quarter with a decent amount of scramble points. So the game was flying under the majority of the way through. And you're looking at what happened in the Clippers game. Kind of a similar story where you end up having some free throws late, but the pace was definitely slower than people anticipated. The referees, I can't really say let them play, but you really saw a decent amount of physicality being, let's just say, ignored throughout the game, mostly on Towns. But the point is, Scott Foster was definitely calling a bunch of ticky-tack fouls, but you didn't really see many trips to the line from the shooting foul variety, and I expect to see a similar story here on Wednesday. Plus, you want to look at the actual regular season meetings, and this total is way too high because 3 of the 4 regular season meetings between the Spurs and the Pelicans had less than 216 points. So a total of 226.5 really just seems too high based on what we've seen from the regular season meetings and the addition of the playoff atmosphere. Plus, you want to look at the actual pace numbers, and they differ pretty dramatically because San Antonio is one of the faster teams in the league, top 10, but New Orleans is bottom 10 in pace. The Pelicans ranked 21st in offensive tempo. So I do expect the Pelicans to try to slow the pace down and really avoid letting San Antonio play at their speed. I expect them to force San Antonio to really just produce in the half court, and I'm not sure the Spurs will be able to do so. Plus, both teams offensively have really not been that great so far this season. New Orleans ranks 20th in the league in offensive efficiency, while San Antonio ranks tied for 17th. So both teams are below average, and I expect them to potentially struggle even more because of the lack of playoff experience on both rosters in such a meaningful game where the loser is officially going home for the rest of the season. So I expect to see a little bit of nerves potentially play a factor early on in this game. Plus, to go through some trends, the under is 7-1 in the last 8 meetings, and the under is also 9-4 in New Orleans' the last 13 games. So when these teams get together, you tend to see some totals that are a bit higher than they should, and you also have seen the totals really just become way too high in these New Orleans games for the last month or so. Because 9-4 to the under in the last 13 means that people are expecting a bunch of points, some awful defense, and that really has not been the case. But at the end of the day, you're looking at a situation where these teams, when they get together, tend to see more lower scoring games, and based on the playoff atmosphere, the referee's willingness to potentially let a little bit more contact go, and what we've seen when these teams get together, I really just expect to see a lower scoring game. I think it'll land somewhere in the 210s, probably around 217. But 226.5 is too high, and I expect this game to go under. So play that in once again here for Wednesday, April 13th. It's going to be on the Spurs and Pelicans under 226.5 at minus 118 on FanDuel. Bye, everyone.